Thank you so much. It's our pleasure spending these 50 minutes, 1 hour together, really going deeper on the expertise that our panelists brings here. And we have many, many topics. So I've been able to spend some time talking with each of you about your perspective, right, into this world about hyper-automation, orchestration, automation, how it is so critical removing the islands of automation. So as you can see, we have a pretty extensive list of questions or topics that I would like to deep dive. So I will be primarily starting with you, Balaji, because I was really excited about the deep expertise and the journey that you had in bringing then benefits at your enterprise, really putting in place a very advanced hyper-automation and orchestration solution. So one of the points that I wanted to cover with you is, as I think you have also learned, there are many automation tools that are designed to cater specific challenges, business requirements that comes from the different line of businesses. So how crucial is really to have a meta orchestrator that seamlessly remove the islands of automation and orchestrates these processes, as also we have seen into the automation fabric message.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So you're talking about the event orchestration part, or you're talking about the application part of it?
I will start with the event application part.
Yeah, so with large volumes and large kind of concurrency, it's extremely important that we have asynchronous calls so that my customer journey is not being imported, which also means there are certain events like notifications, communications, schedulers. There are so much of capabilities. Finally, the customer expectation is to have a seamless journey, frictionless journey, so that the request is being placed, I get instant response, if not instant, a near real time. So when it comes to events, notifications, SMS, email, WhatsApp communication, there are so much of events which are being there. And some of them are real time, some of them are asynchronous background. So some of them, which when we say asynchronous call, whether it's going to be API based or it is going to be event schedulers, like schedulers. And again, it depends on which area we are talking about. Previous session, I saw something about the IT ops. So automation is not just limited to a specific area. In the IT, right from induction of servers, hardware, to application development, to post-production IT ops, in all these phases, there are need to have tools which are required. So based on the phase of the development, right? For example, automation is to improve the efficiency. It is all about to make sure that we are having a minimal manual effort. Moment we get automation, the advantage is to get a consistent delivery, which with a predictable time as such. So the events which are talking about, there are enough event tools which are there, the schedulers which are available in the market. In terms of crucialness, I think extremely important from a time to market, consistency, and it's all about in relevant areas to have a predictive analysis as well as a proactive base of addressing the problem as such.
Just a small interruption. Really sorry, Mr. Monish is over here. Mr. Monish Parekh, VP Technology Transformation.
Good evening, everyone.
DSP Live.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for him, ladies and
Welcome.
gentlemen.
Sorry to get you.
He's also joined over here.
Our pleasure.
And thank you. It's again all yours. Thank you.
Perfect. We just started with the first question, so very good. Thank you. Thanks for your input. And then the previous session talked even about DevOps, okay? And the DevOps practice are in place since a long time, right? So how do you see this evolving in the next, I will say, couple of years? And which is the challenge from your perspective in attaining maturity? Because enterprises are embracing DevOps with different maturity model, right? And there is absolutely now the need to evolve into this space to a level that will bring additional automation and efficiency. So I would like to hear your perspective on this.
Sure, thank you.
So DevOps has, as you rightly said, has been there for quite some time. But unfortunately, when we talk to clients, most of the DevOps practices have been implementation of a certain tool, right? It was either it's a Jira implementation or some other implementation, which I see him nodding the head, which is not what it should be. DevOps is more of a practice which should be inculcated into the team in understanding. See, we need to look at how did DevOps come into place, right? We had earlier this development team which was building up and releasing applications, once in 2 years, once in a year, and you had operations which was using a separate set of applications, and then there was no correlation between them, and development was building different set of functionalities which the operations didn't need. Now that's when people realize that DevOps is something like development and operations need to work together, that you are building those applications and you are actually building to what the customers need. Now from there it has, it did adopt a lot of other best practices, which include Agile, Scrum development, which became a part of DevOps, and then it moved to DevSecOps, because then you realize that you cannot have security as a separate practice and you have your operations and development running separately, right? Now, but the point is, when I'm talking of all of these things, you need to understand that these are different functions and operations which are working together, not a tool which is being deployed, right? Now, when we look at Gen AI, we don't want to, or any AI capabilities, we should not look at that it has become AI-enabled Jira, but it is more like how you are using AI to even increase the speed of development and deployment, and at the same time making it more secure. Now, there are different ways and use cases of doing it. For example, if you're looking at building certain applications, but you are preempting that what could be the usage of these applications, and then you are changing the architecture of that application so that it meets the standards or the levels which you're looking for, not now, but going in future, right? So that is the kind of behavior which has to be built into not only the teams, but also as a function. And when you are looking at automation, so now you look at, all the devils coming together to create that perfect storm. So you have automation, you have DevOps, and then you have Gen AI or AI capabilities. And all of them, they have their own massive powers themselves. And if you can utilize them properly, you're definitely going to revolutionize how your products have been developed. Also keep in mind that you're using low code, no code into application integration and creation, which means that you are giving this powerful tool to business to start now playing around with it. Now, do you have those governance mechanisms and standards and frameworks in place so that when no rookie comes up and creates a new application and then links it with some other application which is very critical and starts pushing in data and then creates havoc in the system, right? So you're also looking at how do I ensure that my business understands the governance and mechanism in place? They are also in line with the kind of product development which is happening, and it is happening at a much rapid and faster scale. So there's a lot of potential there, and we will see all of them coming together, as I say, to create a perfect storm in the next couple of years.
I love the perfect storm. And another aspect I think will be interesting into this conversation is the value stream mapping, the value stream management.
Exactly.
Because even talking with customers, I've seen in the past not huge investment in this area, but I see something really changing in the market. So even VSM solution will, from my perspective, to help organization in elevating the DevOps material.
Absolutely. And that is why if you look at, traditionally you had ITSM as a separate stream, you had your ERP as a separate stream, you had an HR operations as a separate stream. Now, if you look at all of them are connected at some way or the other. And that's why you had that ESM evolve out of that. And you are now looking at ESM also from an integrated point of view, wherein you are looking at the processes running across different applications, and you are not now looking at automating or improving the efficiency of an individual process, but you're looking at what is the value this process is adding to the overall business in sense, right? And then from there, you're looking at what level of automation I need in this process, what depth should I go into, what are the integration capabilities do I need, and do I need to even automate, or to what degree of automation I need to do. And when you start looking at it from top down, you will forget about this piecemeal process that, okay, I have deployed UiPath and I'm very automated now, or I have gone ahead and done a rapid minor implementation, and now I have full secure app, development or deployment and automation at my scale, at my production level, right? So these are the things which now organizations are looking at, and when business is now very deeply involved in the IT and IT application development, you will see that they will be questioning more and more as to why do you want to automate this process, and then you are looking at what is the investment I'm going to do and what is the benefit I'm getting out of it. Right? So that's where we'll see all the synergies coming in place.
Yeah, very, very important. Yeah, very about other emerging technologies. Right, Kunal? I've been starting discussing about IoT, about blockchain, and how these bring also some challenges and opportunities into the overall concept about orchestration and automation. So I will be interested in learning your view about that.
Sure. Thank you. So before answering your question, I would like to make some little bit of a funny thing attached to what Mr. Mohapatra said. There were times, early 90s or maybe late 80s, when I was in school, you needed IT to simplify your business. Then you needed somebody to simplify your IT. Then simplification of IT needed an automation. Then automation of IT needed AI. Then to run the AI, you needed Gen AI. Now, again, the same business, that poor chap on the ground is asking you, what the hell you are doing? Where is the money going? Business is still not simplified. So it's just the full circle. And that is where the problem is. Sometimes, just for the sake of automating, we are picking up piecemeals. Let me automate my area. And this typically is a problem not at ground level. This is, according to me, a board level problem. In board, and I could be absolutely wrong and I could get fired tomorrow, every head of department and every CXO has their own agenda. A CHRO would say, I would go and deploy best of the class of HRMS, which may or may not fit the bill with an ITSM, where he said you need an ESM. I would say before you think of an ESM, you need an ELM, which is your employee lifecycle management. There is a lot that happens in employee's life, and I've been going and talking about this in many forums. All of us are engineer here, I suspect, and you have a concept of pulley. There is a small pulley and there is a bigger pulley attached to it. That is how any vehicle runs. The smaller pulley is your employee, and the bigger pulley is your business. The better you would automate the life of your employee, it would help you in automating and bringing in process improvement to your business. And that is where your IoTs nowadays could come in and give you some insight. Imagine in this room, suddenly the temperature goes up. You would have a ITC employee running around and you would have to call him, what if this was smart? And now, if it is smart, how it is feeding back to my ITSM and giving me analytics, what is going wrong in this? To attach to it, do you have an occupancy sensor? Yeah, I have an occupancy sensor, room is occupied. But is it able to do a counting? The temperature grew from 22 degrees to 26 degrees as soon as the 17th person came in. Now that is what the business needs. And that is where the IT started. You wanted to put data, get you in basic analytics, because it was difficult to do it on a piece of paper. And I think we need to just go back to basic grassroots. Think of technology. Technology is needed, and technology allowed Indians to be on the side of moon where nobody could reach. And I'm proud of that. As an Indian, we reached to that side of the moon. It was all technology. But can we keep on investing in technologies and millions of dollars? And I worked with an ITS company. I worked with one of the world's biggest product company. I worked with a healthcare company. Now I'm with a bank. I've seen all diverse companies. I've seen diverse environments. But everywhere, this is the typical problem I'm seeing, because people are not focusing on what is the actual need. It's just, I need to automate. I ended up investing, and I'm not naming the OEM, which I made the investment with. In my previous organization, couple of $1 million, just to stay, we would bring orchestration at different business layers. And it broke the chain. HR team said, sorry, thank you very much. I'm not changing my processes because IoT want to do something.
That's a really interesting aspect. Yeah.
So I can just add on what just Kunal was mentioning. The whole idea of DevOps was to simplify things. we made the whole DevOps cycle so complicated. And so the agility which is expected from DevOps, it's just on the counter side, it's also all becoming so difficult to kind of close. See, the whole idea of DevOps was faster releases. But the process is made so complicated, it is making things more difficult. The releases take more longer. People worry about like if after I next release whether things will work or not.
And
It was not faster release, it was faster to customer.
first
The number.
Yeah, so
It was
faster to
faster
customer to kind
but
of get a
customer still need to wait for 4 months for the first release to happen.
Yeah. And that's where we were discussing about the importance of these VSM technologies, right? That bring some kind of control on the efficiency, identification of bottlenecks that could absolutely then improve the overall process. So when I was networking, there was one aspect that was brought to my attention. Took my attention. Is about the attendance even of CSO, right? In the context then of automation. So even after the pandemic, the investment on the security side has been massive, and this means the cost to manage security. So automation becomes critical even to keep this cost under control and try to automate as much as possible this type of activity. So I would like to hear your experience in this space.
So as we automate, security things are becoming more complicated, and the more the investments we do, the security has kind of become at the bottommost. It becomes like a foundation thing. So my view is like the entire DevOps piece becoming a DevSecOps, and then the whole left shift of security, including security. Security needs to be thought of at the inception stage and not as an afterthought. Typically, organizations take security as something which we look at it at later on. My view is it need to be a left shift. So the whole time to market and the agility to kind of getting things faster to a customer is met through security being upfront and invested into.
Okay. Your perspective on this topic? In the context of how even automation brings better efficiency, right, or even savings to then manage security at overall enterprise.
On a lighter note, there's no one medicine for all the diseases. Like he touched upon certain things. Like there's no force fit for something. What is the primary objective? I mentioned saying that for an application, if the customer is looking for a digital experience, you need a true ideal expectation is the core system should expose an API which is unique, and it is going to create a system of record with the underlying processes and validations. Moment that is not available, you go in for alternate solutions of RPA, you go in for orchestration, you go in for multiple applications. This is a fundamental problem of getting a true digital service. We need to have unified APIs. Core banking systems have been built as a legacy. They have been meant for branch banking. Any legacy bank, they have been built for branches. Digitalization has evolved over the last 2 decades. So whichever organizations have solved this problem, they are leaders in the market. Whichever organizations are struggling for that, they do a catch up with RPA, they do a catch up with workflows, they have a multiple subsystems. Coming to the infrastructure part of it, when it comes to, you talked about IT ops, you talked about threshold limit. Again, fundamentally, do we have standardization of tools? How will I kill the silos? Every organization will have multiple tools. Every two organizations will have ITAM, ITSM, but are they integrated? If we take inventory, is ITAM matching with the actual? Is ITSM integrated? I have enough tools. I have network monitoring tools. I have infrastructure monitoring tools. Every organization, I'm not saying every organization have all the tools, but are they integrated? I define a threshold limit. Is a threshold limit correct? Currently, somebody would have configured 5 years back. Are we doing this on a regular basis? Threshold limit is not constant for every application based on the nature of application, based on the nature of infrastructure. Thresholds are maintained for infra level, application level, and so on. When the threshold breaches, am I integrated with ITAM, ITSM? Is the alert being sent to the right person? If the email and SMS, are they relevant? Alert has gone to somebody who is not even the organization. So it's all about killing silos, looking at what are the relevant, standardizing the tools, making sure that we will have a relevant integrated approach of all these systems, which will really eliminate all these inefficiencies in the system as such.
Okay. So I think even the next session we will talk a lot about AI, NLP, and now you already introduced this, right? Then we start needing these other aspects, right, to improve and bring continuous efficiency improvements. So which are the areas of applicability where you see that AI and NLP are bringing more business outcomes?
So I would say the first area of improvement which AI is bringing in, and definitely there are, if it has brought 10%, there's still 90% scope, is an employee experience where it actually starts. And I would add on to what Mr. Balaji said, and just a very basic example. Today, if somebody tries to log into my online account, I get an alert that there are 3 attempts made. But what if somebody tries to my Office 365 account as an employee? Do I get an alert? No. I would only get an alert when the account gets locked, and that to 99% there is no alert. So it just starts from there, and then you take it to business where it is helping. And AI is definitely helping businesses, and specifically in BFSI, on fraud management. The basic of fraud management was I able to do transaction on your behalf? But have people found breaks to it? Yes, using some other AI techniques, people have found how to break the AI which I ended up implementing to stop frauds. It's always a catch up. And then next one is, how can I increase my business, which is cross selling? AI is definitely giving me enough data sets. Mr. Mohapatra had tried calling on the contact center, inquiring about loan. Did we manage to get him as a customer? Yes, we did. Now, because I have all the data sets about him, I know what his annual compensation is because he had submitted all the documents. Now, I also have his last 12 months bank records because he had submitted all that. I'm giving an example here, and please don't take me wrong. Yeah. Now, in that record, I can definitely see that he was already holding a couple of credit cards, which he was making continuously payments off. And I suddenly see payments were made till June, but in July onward, I don't see any transaction. So he's not making any payments against his credit card. Has the credit card expired? Yeah, maybe. But I definitely see from January to June, he has made credit card payments constantly. So as a bank, he's a customer for me. Can I have one of my business associate call him and start pitching him my credit card? And again, increase what I can sell him. Or I can offer him a better discounted FD. So this is the way I can increase my business. And this is now more than banking, is actually happening on ground in the real industry. When I say real industry, which is automobile, you go to healthcare, this is definitely happening. You think about package pricing that all the healthcare industries are doing nowadays. It's just clubbing some data sets, bringing some amount of AI. They already have your health records when you're going for testing, and they're able to predict how many days your admission would be needed. And that is how in advance they're telling you, hey, we would charge you 10 lakh rupees for this package. You can stay for 4 days, but you may have an extra illness which would force you for 15 days. And that's the risk business is ready to take. Some amount of risk mitigation in every business line, that is where AI is actually helping.
Do you want to bring also your view on this?
So there are huge opportunities in terms of cognitive capabilities. When a customer is onboarded, right? Any industry you take up, there's a basic KYC, identity takes being taken, video KYC, documents which are coming up, matching whether the documents and what is being punched in are same. Contextual-based customer service, which we mentioned, extremely important. Every person has a huge amount of analytics. For example, cross-sell, upsell. Traditionally, in analytics, will say 20 offers are available for you. In a cognitive chat, building an enterprise cognitive capability is extremely important, which means break all those silos. Like he mentioned about somebody will walk into the business team, I'll get a chatbot. Somebody will walk into a different operation team, I'll get a OCR. I can tell you there are some hundreds of duplications, multiple OCRs, multiple cognitive capabilities. Killing the point solutions, building enterprise competence for these capabilities will really help to improve the customer efficiency in terms of contextual-based customer service, and also to improve the overall bank efficiency. Now, starting from onboarding, huge opportunities. As a customer, if I'm just asking a query in the chat, what is the current housing loan interest? To make this more relevant, with more data democratization and quality capabilities, pass this information, identity of the customer, the session ID of what all he has chatted, and the basic product which he is interested. These three fields are sufficient, but don't send the entire dump. It doesn't help. These three fields makes more meaningful. Looking at the context, looking at the segment of customer, based on his gender, based on his qualification, which is the right way of contacting. Nobody likes getting an ad hoc call. If I'm saying housing loan, I'm interested. Next chat, if the data is available that you have a pre-approved offer of 1 crore, flash it immediately. That is contextual. Not by saying that you have auto loan, you have two-wheeler loan. For a guy who's getting 1 crore, is two-wheeler loan relevant? No way. Contextual. We all talk about all theories, but if I talk about conversation AI, there are 3-4 reasons why a customer will walk in. Knowing the products and services. I am in desperate need of getting a property registration. Fantastic opportunity for getting this converted. So knowing the products and services, I gave you the example. Complaints. I'm lodging a complaint for issue which is there for a specific transaction, or I'm tired of a specific issues. That's a beautiful information for customer service council team of the bank. Then I'm struggling for a specific page, user behavior analytics, Google Analytics. It gives you a pattern of what all they are interested, identifying the inefficiencies and the customer efficiencies. So anything of the struggling part of it is a beautiful information for improving the use case, user experience of the screen journey. I remember earlier, my NEFT RTGS transaction used to be 3 pages earlier. These all were solved. Then when I looked at channel, it was 1 page, but in my branch journey, it was 3 pages. So these are the fantastic opportunities where with some basic cognitive capabilities, you are able to get the complete upstream with the data democratization. I address a person, what is a contextual service? Facial recognition. 1 lakh negative list is there in the bank. Yeah? Is it possible for somebody to remember 1 lakh faces? I have an API, which I have implemented in my earlier organization. I have an API during my due diligence. It will just pass the image. There's a 512 coordinates in a face. Even if I put a mask, it will beautifully identify this identifier. So if I put an 80% threshold limit of a face image, I pass an API, I pass 1 image. It gives me a scorecard like a vector. If I have 1 lakh images, every image has a vector. It's not like a RDBMS where it scans on the data information. So with a simple API, it gives me instant response of matching cases. Like that, there are huge opportunities. I can go on, but yeah, for what of positive.
Manish, what's about you? Because we have seen two different perspectives.
While Kunal and Balaji touched upon the customer aspect of the whole AI Gen AI, we see it very applicable in case of distribution. So in insurance, there is someone assisting you in sale. Now the difficult part is getting a customer to buy insurance is the first difficult part. Now after making that effort, we see the sales guy having to fill a huge amount of form with a lot of documentation, and that's where we see the whole data coming from AI. So external data sources, intelligent OCRs, able to kind of shorten the entire process. How to kind of then just focus on the sale. So the agent can only focus on selling and doing the right selling instead of getting the customer and doing more of engaging with the customer, and pitching him the product which he or she is wanting to, and leaving the form filling aspect and the back office aspect to the technology. And that's where we see a huge use. From an employee point of view, the whole developer community with the whole co-pilot and testing, a lot of use cases in testing, automation of testing, test case generation, developer productivity, how to kind of have the developer productivity, all eventually augmenting to a better experience for the customer, internal or external customer.
Okay.
And there are numerous ones in case of an underwriting and summarizing of documents. How do you kind of get consistent kind of underwriting view of every case instead of personal biases coming from a guy who's underwriting depending on the location or some biases. Typically people have biases, but machines will kind of eliminate those biases, giving consistent results. How do you kind of have underwriters only look at key cases and not everything under the sun? Now, Then how do you kind of have the claims, the whole in life insurance, the claims is the high ticket claims. So how do you kind of have the low ticket ones use automation and give a faster claim turnaround times, and so on and so forth.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, and you discuss about the test part, and we are doing also interesting activities in the context of Gen AI applied to test. That this will, be, I think, coming future will bring huge benefits even in optimizing all the quality and activities from the CDCI cycles. So, if I still have time for one question. I do not have the control of the time. Okay, perfect. There is another question that I would like to ask to all the panelists. We can start with you. So, the key focus for 2024-2025, application modernization, mainframe modernization, infrastructure modernization, data orchestration, data modernization. Some thoughts about this.
So tech modernization is one of the key issues which we see our clients being worried about and working on. And tech modernization, when it means, when you are trying to implement all the great stuff which you're talking about, Gen AI, automation, all this stuff, you need to look at what capabilities you have in the backend. If that backend has been developed in 1980s, 1990s, it works perfectly fine, but then these are not ready for these kind of new technologies. And that's why a lot of companies, especially in the BFSI sector, they have great systems who are working, but then they have to move it to the next level. The second thing also we are looking at is when you are modernizing these applications, you're also looking at not getting into the same trap which were there earlier. Like, I build some blocks and then keep it for next 20 years, not touching it. And then again realize, okay, I have to replace the entire thing, right? So you want to make it
will
more...
be too late.
Yeah, you have to make it more modular. You have to microservices enable them. And all of these has one side is there's a amount you need to invest in building or deploying these applications, but you also need to take into account the overlap period when you are running the older one as well as the newer one, and there are risks involved in it, there are security issues, plus you are also then paying for two applications running it. There's on the other side wherein you're looking at the skills upgrade and all of that stuff, right? So when you look at any of these new technologies, you have to start with tech modernization and application portfolio management, and these are like 70 or 80% of the questions which we get from clients is about this. And if you are able to solve this major puzzle, you will slowly have the other things falling in place. So that's the most critical thing. And then the other aspects which you talked about, like data integration, data modernization, data quality being a major challenge, right? That will slowly be starting addressed when you're talking about tech modernization.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, so first thing is to take a stock of the list of applications we have. Any legacy bank you need to take stock, because somebody will be passionate about talking about the way they have created. For them, it's the great system, but killing the silos, killing the disjointed applications. Take a stock, look at which are point solutions, and build enterprise components. Taking a stock of list of applications, consolidation of applications, process reengineering, which also means that automation. Somebody feels that I provide internet request when I submit. Is the API single unified API? Is the process being unified, right? So application consolidation and reengineering, building enterprise components. It can be applications. It can be, for again, system of records. Clearly, just ensuring that system of engagement is something different. Make sure that system of engagement is not tightly coupled with the system of records. That's where the avatar of digitization has come into place. The core system should be hollowed. Remove all the heavy process-oriented, make a checker user groups, scrutiny activities should be completely away. Coming to the infrastructure part of it, make sure that you have redundancy right from every component, right from network, routers, switches, firewall, IPS, every component right of the infrastructure as well as application component. Build redundancy, build resiliency, bring in high availability so that there's no single point of failure. So fundamentally, it's all about modernization of infrastructure. But does it mean that latest in the market, I have the latest fancy products? It's all about going to the underlying process, consolidation of applications, containerization, make sure that applications are cloud native, which internally takes care of DevSecOps, CI/CD pipeline, standardization of tools, a clear workload assessment, everything comes under the pit. Of course, IT ops is very important, which I mentioned saying that take a stock of all the thresholds which are being monitored, standardize your tools for IT ops, have an integrated NOC, which is network operations, security operations, and resiliency operations. So we call it as knock, rock, sock in SBI. So all these are extremely important to be tied up, integrated, and keep improving the journey. Thank you.
Thank you. And which will be the key focus for you in the next couple of years?
I would say data modernization for sure, because all of us have enough data now. We need to understand how to make use of it. And then
Data is power.
no, so there were terms called data is oil. Data is not oil. Believe on me, data is the soil. The amount of water you would seed in and the way you would cultivate it, it would give you fruit. And you are not looking at data. You need the fruit out of the data. So that's one thing. So data modernization and the way we would use the data is extremely important. And for me, in digital transformation, the one thing that would definitely kick in is simplification of app stacks. It may ultimately move towards the restaurant model where you have everything available in a la carte. I, as a consumer, would like to use what I want to buy, not what you want to sell me. Gone are the days when it was buffet. It has to be one kitchen, but with a la carte. So that is where I see industry moving in. I don't care which channel I have to reach my bank, I have to reach my supplier, I have to reach my service provider. I would reach the way I want, not the way you want me to reach.
Very good, nice.
So while all the applications, modernization, consolidation, following the core have been touched upon, a contrarian view is, do you really need to make an application microservice is the first question to ask. Because microservices is a buzzword. Does your HRMS application need to be microservices? Is the first question to ask. And then the next steps to follow. So everything when you kind of look at, create an inventory, what's a tech debt, and then see where you need to apply the right kind of framework, right kind of architecture is the most important thing. Now, as far as the 24-25, there are a lot of initiatives that we right from the engagement layer to the layer of the system of record. Every layer needs to be looked at, and we are looking at that as in our organization. But it is kind of horses or causes to be kind of taken as the approach, and not take a big digital initiative and then let's change one thing, like change everything one fine day. That should not be. And it's an ongoing process.
It's a journey.
It's an ongoing thing. You'll have to keep looking at it. Some of it may be a bits and pieces kind of a thing. Some of it can be a large big bang ones. It's to do with the organization appetite to pick up which and when from a change management perspective also.
So for all this, skill set plays a crucial role. Yeah, this word manager becomes a misconception. Probably people do some delegation. So the eye for detailing, right? A person who's just seeing the end user cannot be the same way the IT guy looks at. Like a scan of a ECG, X-ray, whatever MRI you call for a doctor, right? The underlying process systems, if the business analyst and the IT team is not getting into the details, you can't do justice for IT. Yeah.
So I think that during this panel session, we covered many topics, challenges that at enterprise level each of you is facing. There are also interesting aspects about microservices, about cloud native, about hyper automation, removal of islands of automation. So I think that next session will be very, very important as I will say the overall summary of today's journey. So first of all, I would like to thank you so much for this time together. I really appreciated even the one-to-one discussion that we have been able to have. And I will leave you to the next session from Nitin that I think will be appreciated as the end of today. To bring even the HCL software view as a solution to the challenges that we have also discussed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.